Hello there and welcome back to another video today.
Everything coming in patch 12.0.7, new zone, sport follow raid, story campaign, board power, and more. Subscribe to Mr. GM and leave a like if you're into actual explain the updates and kind of beta, like what they find in the PTR servers. This guy's really good.
Today we're going to talk about patch 12.07 revelations, and in this video we're going to go through.
So it was announced on the battle launcher, but Battle.net, but it's interesting to see what they how it plays and what's going on with the PTR as well.
Everything that is coming in this minor patch of Midnight. This is another stacked minor patch with tons of great features and fixes and changes and things of that nature. There's just a lot of great things in this patch. But before we get into that, guys, I do want to let you know that I am streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM. I stream World of Warcraft over on Twitch, so if you want to...
Okay, I'm actually, I'll actually sub, I actually follow him on Twitch. Let me just... Oh my fucking god, my whole fucking thing. Let me follow this guy. Okay. Okay, can you fucking load? I'm just trying to my fucking stream almost crashed because of that. All right, I was able. Okay, I left him a follow. Let's keep going.
Check me out streaming the new PTR or just retail or any sort of content on WoW, I'm over on twitch.tv/MrGM. Right, so yes, 12.07. It feels like we literally have only just got 12.05, but yes, 12.07 is coming extremely soon. As of the recording of this video, we do not have an official release date, but we are extremely certain it's going to be June 16th in the NA region and June 17th in the EU. This corresponds with some of the calendar data, and the calendar is never wrong. So yeah, and that kind of lines up with the 8-week patch cadence that we have been getting in the past couple years with World of Warcraft. So June 16th, 17th, lock it in. That is going to be the release date for 12.07. Now this patch 16th, 17th.
June 16th. Okay, so
lock it in. That is going to be the release date for 12.07. Now, this patch does have a ton of features, so let's just jump into it with the first thing, and that is the story campaign. So yes, this patch does contain some story chapters. It includes one chapter in the new Curse of Ulatek story. Now, this is actually the campaign questline for patch 12.1. So yes, we are going to be going to Ulatek, the mysterious island off the coast of Zulaman in 12.1, but we don't go there in 12.07. We just do the first first chapter of the story. This first part of the story deep dives into the origins of the trolls and the elves, and as said, it hints heavily into the themes, location, and enemies of patch 12.1. It'll take you about an hour or so to complete, and it does contain a Mycera Caverns run as well, so definitely a good little build-up for 12.1, which we should get on the PTR fairly soon, hopefully. Next up, let's talk about some content. Yes, we have 2 new mini-zones in 12.07. These are Val and Naegtul. I don't know how exactly that's pronounced, so yeah, I'm going to try not to mispronounce it too many times here.
This is real cool.
So these are 2 new mini-zones which Blizzard are calling Showdowns, and these are an extension of the Void Assault system from 12.05. Now, you unlock these through a short quest line, and you can enter these zones through a portal in the Voidstorm or Silvermoon. Now, if you do recognize these names, these are actually 2 Legion Invasion maps, but they have been heavily redesigned and extended for the patch, so they feel familiar yet different in a sense. Now, they're not meant to be different zones, though. They are meant to be those exact locations from Legion, just with Void invasions now. Now, Val is an icy, snowy zone with the Dominar and Void kind of taking over it, and then Naegtul is sort of a fungal swamp with the ethereal faction known as the Haladar taking over there. As with PTR, these zones do rotate weekly, so you will only be able to enter 1 a week, and these zones feature their own story quest lines, bonus objectives, world quests, rares, treasures, and a world boss each. These zones also feature a normal and heroic world tier option. To go into heroic world tier, it is simply just a drop down similar to Delves when you enter the zone. Now, generally, heroic world tier is used for more challenge as well as more rewards. For example, in heroic world tier, you're going to get an increased amount of field accolades. Unfortunately, no increase of Voidlight Marl. You are going to get champion crests from world quests, which are veteran in normal. The rares in the zone will also drop Warbound champion loot, which is veteran in normal mode, and the world boss will also drop hero up from champion in normal. They've also added a one-time quest that rewards a myth track item, which requires 4 world boss kills. So yeah, the first time that world players are getting access to a myth track item. Now, through my testing, I did find heroic world tier to be pretty difficult for the most part. Even with the changes they've just made to the reward structure, it still seems not really worth it. Now, there is exclusive achievements you can get from there, and obviously if you want to get the hero track items or more field accolades, then this is a great way to obtain them. As of the recording of this, field accolades are still not warbound. I feel this system would be just a lot better if field accolades were warbound, because you could go into heroic world tier, farm a bunch of accolades, send them to an ult, and then you can get geared up in heroic items. But unfortunately, that change seems like something they're not going to be doing. So really, it's up to you if you want to go in there for the extra risk and the extra rewards. Now, speaking of rewards, the zone features a ton of brand new achievements, as mentioned. You can also get Voidlight Marl, crests, and tons of field accolades. You're going to get a lot of accolades from this. Now, you can use those accolades to purchase a new version of the Prey armor set. Now, this is a blue version of the weapons and armor and will require field accolades and Voidlight Marl. A lot of Voidlight Marl, unfortunately. However, the rares in the zone do have a chance of dropping these pieces as well, so you might not need to purchase all of them. There is also a purple recolor of the Nobles Winter Collection from the trading post, which can be obtained. This appears to come from treasures. The zone also features 3 different mounts you can get from completing achievements, which you will need to purchase afterwards. You have the Voidmancer's Star Carver, which is an awesome new kind of Void surfboard. You've got the Netherforged Null Frame, which is a sort of Void mech, which is cool. And you have the Void Tortured Gorger, which is a Gorger mount with that kind of Void theming on it.
This looks like a really, the most like uncomfortable mount, to be honest.
Now, overall, this is pretty casual content. You're not going to be doing this at a high level, but if you're after achievements and collections and things like that, you are going to be pretty busy in these 2 mini zones in 12.07. Moving on into ritual sites. In 12.07, ritual sites will gain a new tier of difficulty, tier 6. To enter a tier 6 ritual site, you will need a minimum of 6 challenges active. Now, the Great Vault rewards from a tier 6 ritual site are exactly the same as a tier 5, so you're not going to be getting Myth Track or anything like that. However, at the end of the run, you will get a ton of Voidlight Marl, field accolades, Hero Dawn Crest, and Myth Dawn Crest, which don't seem to be capped, so you can keep running it for Myth Dawn Crest, and of course, course you'll get coffer key shards. Now tier 6 will be available to the 2 ritual sites which are currently active, and there will be a new achievement for completing a tier 6 with all 8 challenges active, which will give you the new title Ritual Breaker. They're also making a great change through gearing with field accolades. In 1207 they've added specific caches for specific slots of gear in Hero Track for 750 field accolades, so if you are still chasing some of those items, you can just purchase them specifically with field accolades without having to rely on RNG. Now, I'll be remiss to not mention this, there is also data for a new ritual site in Harrendar called Lightbloom. Now, as of right now, there is a loading screen and a map for this. It takes place in the bottom left part of Harrendar. It has not appeared on the PTR at all, or in the notes or anything like that, and there are no achievements or any other data related to it, but it is strange that there is like a full loading screen for it as well. It could be scrap content or something that we might get a little bit later down the line in 1207, but yeah, I thought I'd mention it. So moving on, let's talk about some borrowed power. Yes, the Omnium Folio is your new borrowed power system in 1207. We normally get a borrowed power system in the 0.7 patch, and 1207 is no different. However, this one is a little different as it's not actually an item. So this is actually unlocked through a short quest line over at the Magister's Terrace with Magister Umbric and Grand Magister Romath. Now, it's pretty easy to unlock, and once it is unlocked, it is just simply an icon on your minimap similar to the previous expansion icons, and you can swap and change it as many times as you like outside of combat. Now, this does come with a full talent tree where you kind of pick your main ability, and then the spells below it will affect that specific ability, and it'll take around 5 weeks to fully upgrade it with weekly quests to do various activities. So like it could be a ritual site or a delve or something like that, so it's pretty easy to do. Now, as mentioned, you can swap and change this as many times as you like, and no doubt there'll be sort of optimal routes and things like that, but for the most part it feels pretty harmless. It's just sort of a passive power boost going into Season 2. Now, once this is fully upgraded, you will unlock a decor version of the Omnium that you can actually place inside your house, and you'll be able to purchase more of these for Voidlight Mall as well. So yeah, as said, pretty harmless for the most part, just a bit of a power boost, and it's probably going to help some people trying to get some of their goals as they go into Season 2. So next up, we have a new raid. Yes, we have a new raid called Sporeful. This is a one boss raid in Harrendar, and the last boss here is Rotmire. Now, the interesting thing about this raid is that it'll actually feature a flex mode for Mythic. So for the first time, Mythic mode will allow parties of 15 to 25 to enter, and the raid will scale based off of that. Now, the items from this raid are not upgradable, but they are the highest item level they can possibly be, even with the new upgrade system. So from Raid Finder, you get 259, from Normal, you get 272, from Heroic, you get 285, and from Mythic, you will get 298 items. Other loot from Rotmire include the Luminous Rot Shroom Decor item, the Spore Lord's Shroom Cap Cosmetic Helm, the Mycomancer Hearthstone toy, so a new Hearthstone, the Madcap Red Cap toy. This says, share a delicious mushroom treat with your friends and become one with the fungus. This has an hour cooldown, and there is also a mount, the Luminous Spore Glider. Now, we're pretty sure that this is created by combining 4 delicious spore sacks. We don't know exactly the drop rate or anything like that on these, but it seems pretty likely these will drop from the boss on all difficulties, and combining 4 of them will give you the Luminous Spore Glider, which is a recolor of the Spore Glider mount. Slightly more glowy though, but yeah, for the most part, it's just a different recolor of the Spore Glider we've seen a couple times now. But yeah, Sporeful, a nice little catch-up raid there with Mythic Flex, potentially a test for the future in regards to difficulties, but that's going to be available in 1207. 1207 also features some updates to lore walking, so there'll be a new lore walking campaign featuring the Troll Lowers. In this storyline, this will take you back to Zuldazar, Zuldrak, Sunken Temple, the Other Side, and the Darkspear Isle. This is definitely a prelude to the 12-1 story and zone. Completing this lore walking will give you the Tome of Kings Decor item, and overall it seemed like a pretty enjoyable playthrough. It was nice to go back to Zuldrak and experience some of the quest lines I haven't played for a long time. So overall, a pretty good lore walking campaign. Now, there is also data for a Thrall-based lore walking story, which is not currently active on the PTR, and it's probably something we're going to get in a later patch. I would imagine this is going to be something we'll probably won't see until like 12.1.7 potentially, as this could be a prelude to 12.2, but we have no idea. A lot of data related to it, but yeah, nothing as of right now is playable on the PTR for that. Moving on, we also have Dragonflight Time Walking in 1207. So yeah, we are speed running all of these time walkings. Over the last couple of years, we've got Shadowlands and BFA, and now Dragonflight. So this will feature a 6 dungeon pool, which includes the Algothar Academy, Halls of Infusion, Infusion, Neltheris, the Ruby Life Pool, which includes the FA7. So yeah, we are speedrunning all of these time walkings. Over the last couple of years, we've got Shadowlands and BFA, and now Dragonflight. So this will feature a 6-dungeon pool, which includes the Algothar Academy, also Infusion, Neltheris, the Ruby Life Pools, the Azure Vaults, and Brackenhide Hollow. Of course, with time walking comes a bunch of new time walking rewards. So from the vendor in Valdrakken, you'll be able to purchase the Blackfurred Bakar mount, the Liquid Hot Magma Slug mount. You're going to get various unused appearances from Dragonflight, including the Fire Druid set, which will be available to everybody. You're going to get some unused Evoker shoulders, which also will be available to everybody, and just various recolors of Dragonflight ensembles. There's also 3 new toys, which I really like. You've got one that skips stones across water. You've got one that'll automatically take screenshots of boss kills, which is really cool. And you've got another one that will change the sky to fire and ash, which is an awesome effect in all zones. The time walking vendor also has some unused dragon riding appearances, which were not available during Dragonflight, including sleek horns for the Cliffside Wilderdrake, the gold and pink armor for the Flourishing Whimsidrake, the yellow scales for the Grotto Netherwing Drake, and the purple and silver armor for the Grotto Netherwing Drake. And of course, the vendor will feature reputation tokens, but yeah, for the most part, really cool to see Dragonflight time walking coming in. Does not seem that long ago, but it actually was that long ago. And yeah, some pretty good dungeons and some pretty great rewards. Sticking with time walking, we also have the return of Turbulent Timeways with Turbulent Timeways 5. As of the recording of this will run from June 30th until August 11th, which is a 6-week cycle, which means that August 11th might actually be the launch of patch 12.1. As with every Turbulent Timeways event, you'll be able to obtain a heroic piece of Quel'Thalas raid gear each week from the Time Walking Weekly. This event also brings a new achievement, the Master of the Turbulent Timeways 5, which is to gain Master of the Timeways for 5 weeks during Turbulent Timeways. This is just simply doing 4 time walking dungeons in a row for 5 weeks. The reward for this is the Spawn of Vyrah mount. This is an awesome new Ice Proto Drake mount. I love the look of this, and if you don't get that achievement, I would imagine it's going to get added to the time walking vendor once the event ends. So it's a very cool looking mount, and certainly one of the best ones I've seen from the Turbulent Timeways event. Another sort of minor feature of the patch is a new sort of local story happening in Zulaban. This is Jan'alai's New Eggs. Now, this is a very short questline in Zulaban where you're basically helping Jan'alai bring in a new clutch of eggs. The reward for this is a pet at the end of the questline, and potentially this could lead up to something in the future. When I first read about this, I thought it might be like the Dragonflight nursery thing that we did, but this just seems to be a fairly short questline with some new story beats, which, yeah, as said, is probably some kind of lead up for the future. It does seem a little bit random as of right now, but I guess watch this space in regards to that story. But moving on into housing, we have some big housing updates for you housing enjoyers. So firstly, they are increasing the exterior decor limits. At house level 5, your exterior decor limit will be 300, and then if you've reached house level 7, your exterior decor limit will be 350, which is, yeah, a pretty great addition there. And I would imagine most of you are probably already at that level. You're also going to be able to place lighting outdoors. Yes, this is something that was not allowed previously and is being added in 1207. Now, lighting decor will have certain restraints outdoors that they do not have indoors. For example, 2 lights cannot overlap and will become unplaceable when too close. Also, for housing, they're adding over 100 new common decor items to the neighborhood vendors. So tons of new items for you to use, which are pretty basic looking for the most part, including a square dyeable rug. I know that's exciting for a lot of people, so a bunch of new items available to you from the neighborhood vendor.
Yeah, but generic means like variety, and basically like, so sometimes it's better than having a fucking like a summoning stone ritual from like where, like from a raid.
Just for gold. Next up, let's take a look at some of the UI updates in 1207. There's a ton here, but a lot of minor things. So boss timelines in vertical orientation now have an option to set the text to be left or right. They've adjusted the colors for gaining threat and high threat on the raid frames and nameplates. They've added a new option to enable or disable alert glows for special procs when having the 1 button on your action bar. The Great Vault raid tooltip now displays credit for multiple raids in a better format. For the damage meter, they've added a in-group visibility option. They've also lowered the minimum window size, allowing you to make the damage meter window smaller than before. Shift-clicking a damage meter row now opens the detail window that stays open until manually closed. Also, the personal resource display is getting a bunch of customization and updates in 12.07. So firstly, it's been updated with new art. There are new options for controlling the overall size, bar width, health bar height, power bar height, padding between the bars, opacity, and visibility, as in always or in combat or hidden. The health bar and power bar can now be hidden separately instead of the previous single option that hid both at once. They've also added options to hide the class resource bar, like combo points and soul shards, on the personal resource display and player unit frame. There's also a new option to show your class color, which will change the health bar to your class color, and there's also another option to show the text on the bar as well. So yeah, some pretty great updates to the personal resource display and various other UI elements. PvP is also getting a little bit of an update with some item levels. The Galactic Gladiator, Aspirin, Warmonger, and Crafted PvP items have had their PvP item levels increased by 9. So yeah, they're going to go slightly higher in 12.07. For Prey, the only update here is a new feat of strength called Big Prey Hunter, and that is for completing the Prey Seeker's journey in Season 1. I was actually surprised that that wasn't in the original patch, but yeah, we're getting a achievement for completing the Prey Seeker's journey. And finally, yes, I left the best for last, Moth Hunting in Harrendar. If you haven't done it already, it is getting rebuilt in 12.07. So they have rebuilt how the moth hunting feature works in Harrendar and how it gives rewards. However, if you have already done it, you're not going to lose any progress or rewards. Now, glowing moths in the zone no longer give luminous dust when collected, and luminous dust as a currency has been removed completely. The Moth Keeper will no longer sell items for luminous dust. Instead, there's going to be a new quest for every 10 moths you collect, which gives a new reward. These quests will only be visible for players who have reached the collection requirements to get this specific reward, but have not already acquired it. So if you've already got it, that quest is not going to come up. And extra copies of the decor can still be purchased from the Moth Keeper for Voidlight Marl after you received your first one. Now, the Moth Keeper will also have a dialogue option explaining what the rewards are and how many moths you need to collect for each. And there's also a new display bar above the NPC to show you your collection progress. So maybe too little too late, but if you haven't done it, it definitely sounds like an improvement to the system and kind of removes a little bit of currency bloat there as well, which is nice. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is patch 12.07 of Midnight, the Revelations patch. Quite a lot of features here which are going to keep people busy for the most part. The new raid, the new zones, the new ritual site updates. There's a bunch of stuff for everybody here. So, and it's going to be a perfect leeway into 12.1. So guys, thank you very much for watching. Do let me know in the comments your thoughts on 12.07. Do you think there's too much here? Do you think there's too little here? And what do you think of the content in general? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on this. And don't forget,
this is interesting. Before like the season 1 ends, two patches. So there was like the ritual site patch and this one. This actually feels good and feels alive and feels like organic when it comes to like there isn't this it is enough, I believe, and it's a cool thing. Thank you again, Mr. GM, for the summary. And for the dates, so the dates, it's 15th to 17th June. So so not in that not in too long, right? All right.